Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I am Deepika, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Mexico, Canada retaliate with levies against US after Trump imposes new tariffs. We'll find you and kill you, says Donald Trump after US strikes ISIS in Somalia. Pentagon says no civilians harmed. Tensions escalate between Russia and Ukraine, accuse each other of deadly strike on boarding school in Kursk region. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to begin phase 2 of Gaza ceasefire negotiations in Washington. And in cricket, South Africa wins the toss, opts to bat first against India in women's under-19 T20 Cricket World Cup final at Kuala Lumpur. Good afternoon to all our viewers joining us at this afternoon broadcast. Let's begin with the top news of the hour. US President Donald Trump imposed sweeping new tariffs on all goods imported from America's three largest trading partners, which are China, Mexico and Canada. Trump said the US would impose tariffs of 25% on Canada and Mexico and 10% on China. Canadian energy faces a lower 10% tariff. He had threatened to impose the import taxes if the three countries did not address his concerns about illegal immigration and drug trafficking. Together, the trio accounted for more than 40% of imports into the US last year. Trump has repeatedly expressed his approval of tariffs as a policy measure and has signaled that Saturday's action could be the first volley in further trade conflicts to come. Now, this week, he also pledged to impose future duties on the European Union. He has also promised tariffs on semiconductors, steel, aluminium, oil and gas. Responding to Donald Trump's tariff threats, Mexico, Canada and China announced to retaliate with counter-tariffs. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, in a dramatic tone, warned of a fracture in long-standing Canada-US ties. He responded to the US trade action with 25% tariffs against $106 billion worth of American goods. He also stated that Canada is not looking forward to escalate the issue and will continue to stand up for Canada and for Canadians.
Tonight, I am announcing Canada will be responding to the US trade action with 25% tariffs against $155 billion worth of American goods. This will include immediate tariffs on $30 billion worth of goods as of Tuesday, followed by further tariffs on $125 billion worth of American products in 21 days' time to allow Canadian companies and supply chains to seek to find alternatives.
Now, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum also announced to retaliate against Trump tariffs. Sheinbaum said she had told her economy minister to implement Plan B that we've been working on, which includes tariff and non-tariff measures in defense of Mexico's interests. Now, China also vowed corresponding countermeasures against new Trump tariffs. In a statement issued, it stated that Beijing would file a lawsuit at the World Trade Organization, arguing that the unilateral imposition of tariffs by the United States seriously violates WTO rules. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived on Saturday in Panama, where he plans to raise President Donald Trump's demands for Panama Canal. Rubio, on his first trip as a top U.S. diplomat, during which he will travel to 4 other Latin American countries, will tour the Panama Canal and meet President Jose Raul Mulino on Sunday. Rubio's mission came as Donald Trump imposed steep tariffs on Canada, Mexico and China, another step showing a far more aggressive U.S. foreign policy. U.S. forces carried out airstrikes in Somalia, targeting a senior Islamic State attack planner and other members of the terrorist group, killing many of them. President Donald Trump on Truth Social post said that the attack has killed those who were hiding in caves, threatened the United States and allies. Saturday strikes were carried out in the Golis Mountains, and Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who added that an initial assessment indicated multiple operatives were killed. He said no civilians were harmed. The strikes came just days after Interpol announced the arrest of several suspected members of Islamic State in East Africa. The arrests occurred amid mounting concerns over a possible resurgence of the ISIS militant group after the ousting of Bashar al-Assad in Syria. And now let's get you updates from the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Tensions escalated between Russia and Ukraine, with both the sides accusing each other of a strike at a boarding school sheltering civilians in the Ukrainian-occupied town in Moscow's Kursk region, where Kyiv launched a major cross-border assault last August. Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky shared aftermath footage of attack on Kursk boarding school. Ukraine's military said that 4 people had died and dozens injured or rescued in what President Volodymyr Zelensky described as a Russian aerial strike on a boarding school in a Ukrainian-held part of Russia's Kursk region. Meanwhile, rescue operations are in progress as local residents look on in the Ukrainian city of Poltava after a Russian missile strike hit overnight. 17 people have been reported injured while 22 people have been rescued. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, the death toll has risen to 8. The historic Bristol Hotel has been destroyed following a Russian missile strike. The Odisha Regional Military Administration released aerial images showing the destruction of the historic Bristol Hotel. The attack targeted Odisha's UNESCO-listed historic centre, wounding 7 people who are now receiving medical care. The strike caused significant damage to around 15 cultural heritage sites, including the Vucini House, the local Philharmonic, the Museum of Western and Eastern Art, and the Porto Franco Bank. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will begin talks on a second phase to the Gaza ceasefire in Washington on Monday, his office said hours after the completion of the 4th hostage prisoner exchange of the truce. Netanyahu, in a video message, said that the country expects the coming phases of prisoner hostage swap to be carried out safely. During a video statement after the 4th exchange of hostages for prisoners with Hamas amid a ceasefire deal, Netanyahu welcomed home the 3 released Israeli hostages released by Hamas.
Earlier this week, in the previous phase, we made it very clear that we would not tolerate any violation of the agreement. We insisted on this, and we brought forward by a week the release of 3 of our hostages. Also, after the scenes that we all saw the day before yesterday, we demanded a safe exit for our hostages in the coming releases. As you saw today, this steadfast stand proved itself. The message was delivered, received and carried out. Israel expects that all of the coming phases also be carried out safely.
Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu named retired Major General Eyal Zamir as Israel's new armed forces chief after his predecessor resigned last month, taking the responsibility for failing to stop Hamas's October 2023 attack. Zamir replaces Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi, who resigned on the 21st of January, 2 days after a fragile ceasefire took effect in Gaza, which has now seen the release of 18 hostages by Hamas and its ally Islamic Jihad. Now, at least 7 people died when a Medivac plane crashed in Philadelphia on Friday. Philadelphia Mayor Cheryl Parker said that at least 1 other person who was in the car had also been killed and that 19 people had been wounded. The crash, which was the second major aviation disaster in the United States this week, occurred when the twin-engine Learjet 55 plummeted towards a busy Philadelphia neighborhood, exploding on impact and showering wreckage over homes and vehicles. The U.S. Federal Aviation Authority said it was launching an investigation with the National Transportation Safety Board. Both the agencies are already probing the collision of a passenger jet from an American Airlines subsidiary and a Black Hawk helicopter.
At this point, we can confirm that there were 6 souls on board the plane that crashed on Cottman Avenue last evening. A pediatric patient, their mother, and a 4-person flight crew. We can also confirm that at least one other person perished in this tragedy, and this individual was in a car. We can confirm that there are also a number of other victims who were injured in this incident, and they are being treated in area hospitals. And thus far, our count is that there are 19 injured victims. But again, this is not etched in stone. The investigation is ongoing.
The U.S. Army on Saturday released the name of the 3rd soldier who died on a Black Hawk helicopter that collided with an American Airlines passenger jet near Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport this week, killing 67 people in all. The soldier was identified as the captain, whose name was Rebecca, of Durham, North Carolina. She was an aviation officer in the regular Army since 2019 and was assigned to the 12th Aviation Battalion, Fort Belvoir in Virginia. Meanwhile, investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board have determined the CRJ-700 airplane that was at 325 feet plus or minus 25 feet at the time of the impact, officials said at a Saturday evening news briefing. The information was based on data recovered from the jet's flight data recorder, the black box, that tracks the aircraft's movement, speed and other parameters. The new details suggest the Army helicopter was flying above 200 feet, which is the maximum altitude for the route it was using. Now, Brazil's House and Senate elected new leaders who promised independence from the administration of President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva during their 2-year terms. Hugo Mota from the Republicanos Party of Pará was elected as the new president of the Chamber of Deputies and Javi Ulcombo to head the Senate, receiving 444 out of 513 votes. The election took place during the first round and Mota's overwhelming support came from 17 parties, garnering him the necessary majority well beyond the required 257 votes. His presidency is set until the February 2027 with the possibility of re-election. He had vowed to strengthen the House in a speech to fellow lawmakers, promising to maintain its autonomy and independence in its relationship with others in power. Now, thousands of people marched in Valencia in the latest protest over the Spanish government's response to devastating floods that killed more than 200 people in October. Though it was smaller than 3 previous protests in the Mediterranean city, the march drew around 25,000 people. October's torrential rains unleashed a deluge of water and mud that tore through much of the Valencia region. The government has pledged $17.2 billion in aid and loans for affected towns, businesses and residents. The conflict in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo is clearly on the brink of a broader regional war as the Africa's top health agency warned the fighting could spark new outbreaks of serious diseases. The Rwanda-backed armed group M23 has vowed to march on the capital, Kinshasa, after capturing eastern DRC's biggest city of Goma earlier this week. As the Rwanda-backed M23 group controls most of Goma in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, thousands of people who had settled in camps for internally displaced people on the outskirts of the city say they have no choice but to head back home. The lightning offensive is the latest to scar the mineral-rich region, which has seen relentless conflicts involving dozens of armed groups kill an estimated 6 million people over 3 decades. In the eastern region of the Democratic Republic of Congo, prices have soared even further, worsening the hardships faced by local populations who were already grappling with economic instability. The soaring prices are a result of several factors, including ongoing conflict, disrupted supply chains, inflation, and a lack of infrastructure, all of which have compounded the already fragile economic situation in the region. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on DD India Live. Up next, we'll get you the latest from Maha Kumbh 2025. North Indians face western disturbances as IMD issues latest predictions. And Union Sports Minister Mansukh Mandaviya flags off Indian Navy half marathon in New Delhi. Welcome back after that short break. You're watching DD India Live. Now on Saturday, India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented her 8th consecutive budget in the Lok Sabha. Several industries and industrial personalities praised the new budget for its forward-looking approach while supporting both the economic growth and social welfare. The Director General of Indian Auto LPG Coalition, Suyash Gupta, said that it is a very comprehensive and balanced budget and a commendable step towards tech and EV growth.
I would like to commend Honorable Finance Minister for her leadership and the comprehensive budget she has presented, which I think has been a pretty balanced budget. And of course, the most celebrated aspect of the budget has been the giant relief for the middle class in terms of the massive change in the income tax rates. Additionally, the changes in the TDS and the TCS norms would go a long way towards its endeavors for ease of doing business and ease of compliances. This budget is a commendable step as an enabler towards notable push towards clean tech and EV growth.
Telangana CII Chairman Sai Prasad said the budget is focused on increasing the GDP of the country.
We think that the budget has been focused based on increasing the GDP and improving the GDP of our country. Where by giving tax incentives or tax slab reductions to salaried employees up to 12 lakhs and also to give customs duty reductions and waivers for certain materials that we import for manufacturing within the country and for exports also. And also government has mentioned that they will increase the infrastructure spending overall.
Now, Deepak NG, the Managing Director of Dassault Systems India, has praised the Indian Budget 2025, saying that the visionary approach will uplift the country's economy and strengthen critical sectors like infrastructure and AI.
Dassault Systems welcome government's forward-thinking initiatives outlined during Union Budget 2025. In manufacturing, the National Manufacturing Mission will definitely boost Make in India. The infrastructure, for me, the new age cities through infrastructure investments and PPP projects driven will definitely transform the urban projects. The AI for Center of Excellence will help our education system and also the workforce of the future to adopt the latest technology.
Now, Hemant Chen, the president of PHDCCI, expressed his strong belief that the Indian budget will play a crucial role in boosting India's GDP and driving sustained economic growth.
I would like to compliment the Finance Ministry and the entire team. They have given a fabulous budget. They have given money in the hands of middle class, which was the need of the hour. There was a growth rate which was coming down. I think this will help in boosting the overall GDP growth rate of the country. They have made the 4 pillars, which is the investment, MSME, export and agriculture, are the 4 key pillars for this time budget.
Dr. Samarth Nagabhushanam, who is the co-founder of Ramaya Evolute, stated that the 10,000 crore rupees fund announced in the budget will push startup ecosystem and boost the confidence of entrepreneurs.
Union Budget 2025 has announced 10,000 crores fund of funds for startup. This combined with the 91,000 crore commitment from all the AIFs will really boost the startup ecosystem. Super excited, and I think all the entrepreneurs in India, all the startup ecosystem should be highly excited for this particular gift that the government is giving and the overall direction that the government is thinking. Kudos to our finance minister and kudos to the government. Okay.
Now, the ongoing Maha Kumbh 2025 in Prayagraj continues to witness an overwhelming influx of devotees, reaffirming its status as the world's largest religious gathering. With the Maha Kumbh drawing millions each day, the authorities remain on high alert, implementing enhanced security and crowd control measures to ensure a safe and seamless experience for all the attendees. Authorities intensified security and crowd management efforts to prevent overcrowding at the ghats, as an estimated 4 to 5 crore devotees are expected to participate in Basant Panchami's sacred bathing ritual, which is the third Amrit Snan of the 45-day Maha Kumbh schedule and the fourth holy dip overall. The weather in North India has flipped yet again. After a few days of warmth in Delhi, UP, Bihar, Haryana and Rajasthan, the cold wave has returned. According to the Indian Meteorological Department, a western disturbance is again active in the region, leading to the possibility of rain in many states. Rain amidst dense fog and a cold wave may further increase the winter chill. Two fresh western disturbances are likely to affect northwest India between the 1st and 3rd of February. While Delhi got some relief this week with pleasant sunshine during the day, the evenings are growing cold due to the western disturbance. The minimum temperatures are dropping, showing the impact of the chill. Meanwhile, the temperatures in Gulmarg in Jammu and Kashmir has reached -2 degrees Celsius. The situation has become even more difficult due to the strong winds. The snowfall has, however, brought in a sea of tourists, but the locals are facing a lot of problems due to the cold conditions. Amrit Udyan, the iconic garden at President's House, opened its gate for an exclusive media preview. The grand floral spectacle will be accessible to the general public from the 2nd of February till the 30th of March this year, except on Mondays. Here's a report by DD India correspondent Kriti Vadera. Take a look.
Journalists and photographers were given a first-hand glimpse of the meticulously curated blooms and thematic garden sections of Amrit Udyan. Known for its seasonal floral diversity, Amrit Udyan showcases a vibrant array of tulips, roses and indigenous plant species. The garden's attractions include bonsai collections, a circular garden and herbal garden among other features.
जब अमृत उद्यान खुलेगा 2 महीने के लिए, उसी के बीच में हम लोग एक विविधता का अमृत महोत्सव का भी कार्यक्रम रख रहे हैं। उसमें जितने भी हमारी साउथ इंडियन स्टेट्स हैं, उनका कल्चर हम लोग यहाँ डिस्प्ले कराएंगे। उनके हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स, उनके टेक्सटाइल्स और उनकी सारी स्टेट्स की स्टॉल्स लगेंगी और क्विजीन जो खाना पीना है वो भी लोग उसका आनंद ले पाएंगे। उसके अलावा वहाँ के आर्टिस्ट भी आके अपना म्यूज़िकल परफॉर्मेंसेस और वो भी देंगे। तो इस तरह से हम लोग साथ ही आर्ट एंड कल्चर को भी प्रमोट कर रहे हैं।
Officials highlighted the eco-friendly initiatives undertaken this year, including sustainable gardening techniques and enhanced visitor amenities.
With its spectacular view, breathtaking flowers and lush green gardens, Amrit Udyan is all set to host visitors from February 2nd. You can visit online for registration to visit these beautiful gardens, which remain a major attraction every year. With camera person Mukesh, I am Kriti Vadera reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
And now, updates from the world of sports. South Africa skipper Kelly Renike won the toss and opted to bat against India in the final match of the Women's Under-19 T20 Cricket World Cup on Sunday in Kuala Lumpur. India have had a flawless campaign so far, winning all their 6 matches in the tournament. Unbeaten so far, a dominant India will start as overwhelming favourites to win their 2nd consecutive title. In form opener Gongadi Trisha has been in ominous form with the bat and is the highest run-getter in the tournament with 265 runs in 6 innings at an average of 66.25. And Union Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia flagged off the Indian Navy Half Marathon 2025 in New Delhi on Sunday. The marathon is a landmark event aimed at promoting physical fitness and fostering a spirit of camaraderie among the participants, marking a significant milestone in the Navy's effort to encourage sports and healthy lifestyles within the nation. The event, trifurcated across 3 categories of 21, 10 and 5 kilometers, saw the participation of over 10,000 people. The event was also graced by double Olympic bronze medalist Manu Bhakar, Tokyo Olympic medalist Mirabai Chanu and Olympic medalist Aman Sehrawat. With this inaugural edition, the Indian Navy reaffirms its commitment to foster a culture of health and resilience. That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.